Welcome to Fika's Focus. Voices leading change.
Welcome back to Fill the Gap. We are here with Rose. Kia ora, Rose.
Hi.
In this opportunity for us to support the sector, today we are talking about excursions.
Yes.
They're an important part of early childhood development, and it's something we have taken pride in. We really have tried to do that as often as possible. But Rose, why don't you just give us a quick breakdown of exactly what excursions are?
So an excursion is a learning experience that involves taking a group of tamariki, supported by their kaiako, out into the local community to experience their local area in some way. So that could be, like, there's heaps of different excursions that we do. Going to the beach, going to the local shopping.
Pizzeria.
Yeah, the pizzeria, making pizzas. You've been on some cool excursions with the terrace views, going to the temple, going to retirement villages. Like, there's a huge range of excursions that we do, and it's just really utilising those resources that we have in the community to help link our tamariki to the local community.
Yeah, I think what really drives a lot of this is around increasing value within the community, that we are plugged into the community, not siloed off, and using the Sikh Temple as a good example, or the pizzeria. So that was a pizza library, wasn't it?
So,
they allowed the batch to go in and make pizzas with them. What it does is it allows us to bring value in those spaces instead of just sitting off siloed. And the kids, the learning involved for the kids is just immense.
Yeah. Huge. It depends on, their sense of belonging, I think, is really strong when we go out with them into the community. An example I have is when I started at Pat Beach with Quinn, he was not coping very well with daycare. He didn't understand, the big change in his world, being at home with me to now sharing me with 30 other children. But we saw a huge shift in him when we went on a simple excursion. I spoke to one of my team members, and they suggested taking him somewhere familiar with his daycare, with his children, with his class, so that he could connect his community with his peers.
His friends.
Yeah. So we went to the playground, and it was super simple, but it's a playground behind our house that we visit as a family.
Oh, is it Topaz?
Yeah. And so we went there, and he was like, "Oh, this is our playground."
Yes.
Or,
cool.
I'm here with all of my friends and all of my teachers, and so it kind of shifted his seeing Future Focus as separate to home. It kind of brought it together.
And Pāpāmoa Beach Centre's a good example for us because they get to the library, they get to the plaza, they go and do some shopping at Countdown, and they go to the warehouse and get some stuff.
The duck ponds, the playground.
Ponds, they're walking around all the time. They've got their little yellow vests on. And it builds familiarity out into the community, that not just with mum and dad do I go to these places, but I also go to these places with my early childhood friends. What about just the simple act of walking to places? I think that's an important point, right?
So absolutely. I think building their resilience, some of them, to actually walk a distance further than they might walk in their daily life, and the understanding, the behind that we all have to go together, and we're...
Yeah, I think it actually really amplifies the ability for children to be aware of when they're walking. I remember we had a teacher, she actually highlighted this out to me, that often children just wander along. They're not actually involved with
where they are
in space, and that's why they don't mean to walk on the road. They're just kind of
curious.
They're just curious
distracted.
and just walking along. But actually, when you're out there in those excursions, and we're just highlighting the danger of the road, and there's cars moving, and you got to stay behind people and things. It's actually a very powerful learning opportunity for them in that space.
Absolutely. Like, we did a road safety week at Pat Beach. And we looked at how we need to be safe around crossing roads, and then we went on excursions and we practiced that language that we learnt from that.
That's right. You drew out zebra crossings and everything, right? Yes.
So it's putting that into action in a real, authentic, genuine situation, rather than just practicing it in isolation.
And we spoke about this actually in the engagement phase that I discussed with Sammy, is also... We know that parents would rather be at home with their children. That's not the option that they have at the present moment. So the next best thing is putting them in care into early childhood centres, and it would warm my heart. It certainly warms Whānau's heart when they open up social media and there's their children out at the plaza, the beach, the pizzeria, the
Having
park.
a fluffy at the local cafe.
Yes, over at Pāpāmoa Primary, playing on the playground, visiting the Sikh Temple, out playing out in a park and going down some slides and doing this. It actually is quite a powerful feeling for a family to feel like, okay, cool, I don't need to feel as much guilt as that my child's in daycare while I'm here, but at least I know they're having a blast.
Yeah, and they're having a really meaningful time while they're there.
Yeah, and a connection in phases, not just in four walls and being jammed in those spaces. What about the type of, because I think we've really grown in terms of what we provide. Why don't you give us some of the examples that you yourself have done with us in terms of excursion?
My favourite is always the beach. I love going to the beach with tamariki. Honestly, it's a place that is so important for lots of our children because we look at where we live.
Yes.
So we get to go to the beach. It's on our doorstep. So why don't we utilise that? And then being able to see not only their sensory learning with the sand and the waves and the sun, being out in the natural environment, but taking that back to the centre with us. We collect shells. We make those connections by setting up experiences back that reflect what we did at the beach, and it's it's that localized curriculum in action.
See, my favourite was the Sikh Temple. I think that for me, as a pure experience, that was I cried being in that. Forgive me, I don't know the actual name of the prayer room, but it was so powerful, and we had 20 children. And they were just phenomenal, and the respect that and the care and empathy they showed, and the temple made traditional food and sweets for us, and their hospitality was just beautiful. And what it allowed us to do is, for a lot of children, is connect into a community that they otherwise wouldn't connect with.
And I think when you spoke to me afterwards, I was here and you were telling me about that experience, what stood out for me was when you spoke about that one child whose temple it is.
Yeah, Tantara.
And seeing how her sense of belonging and her pride, because she brought everyone, her worlds were colliding, right?
Yeah,
These two worlds of hers were colliding. And it was so, that's so powerful for her, but also for her friends, for her teachers, for you.
It resonated to me because I remember going to the marae when I was a kid, and a lot of my Pākehā friends, they had never been on maraes, and I was just like, come with me, this is where you go, and we can play here.
And it adds another level of understanding around who they are, where they're from, which is
and the
what
pride,
it's so special.
And that was, and even for Armin, as one of our kaiako, it was such a powerful moment that he could feel that his culture, his belief system, and we didn't even really mention religion, although that's a critical part to it, but it was the feel of the culture and the people, the space, the energies. It was just such a beautiful example. So, I think excursions are a critical part of any sort of early childhood curriculum, and I know that we are fortunate to where we live, so we might as well get out and use it and maximise those spaces. Okay, well, thank you very much, Rose. It's a really cool Fill the Gap on excursions. Let's fill the gap.
Cool.